nitric oxide, and then also what the toothpaste and the mouthwash and what they're doing to our bodies.
Yep. So nitric oxide is a gas. It's naturally produced. It's what we call a signaling molecule. So it's how cells in the body communicate with one another. So, for instance, how the endothelial cells, the cells that line all our blood vessels, talk to the underlying smooth muscle and tell them, hey, we need to relax and dilate these blood vessels because I need to increase blood flow and oxygen and nutrient delivery to these downstream tissue beds and cells so they can do their job and activate the mitochondria and mobilize stem cells. So nitric oxide regulates blood flow and blood pressure and circulation, tissue oxygenation. Again, it's the molecule that tells our own stem cells to mobilize and differentiate, prevents our telomeres from shortening by activating an enzyme called telomerase. And then it activates mitochondrial biogenesis and improves the efficiency of ATP production at the cellular level. So everything we know about health, longevity, human optimization is dependent upon adequate and sufficient nitric oxide production. So that's one. So what I started on 25 years ago was try to figure out, okay, how does the human body make nitric oxide? And why do people lose the ability to produce it naturally? If this is such an important molecule, what leads to a loss of nitric oxide production? And then and only then, after you've answered those two questions, can you even start to think about developing product technology? There's so many companies out there trying to sell nitric oxide products. They haven't spent 1 second in a research lab. They have no idea how to count electrons. They don't know anything about enzymology and biochemistry. They know nothing about the microbiome, but yet they're trying to sell products for nitric oxide. And it would be comical if it wasn't dangerous and disingenuous. So here's what happens, and I tell people all the time. So we understand how the human body makes nitric oxide. We understand what goes wrong in people that can't make it, and then we fix it. We can do this through product technology, but more importantly, we can do this through simple lifestyle modification. So as I mentioned, anything that's antimicrobial, antiseptic, whether it's fluoride in your drinking water, whether it's chlorhexidine in your mouthwash, whether it's alcohol or chemical-based antiseptics in your mouthwash, it completely destroys the microbiome. We and others published that if you use mouthwash, your blood pressure goes up. Your blood pressure goes up because you're killing the bacteria that are responsible for partly producing nitric oxide. So that's number one. Just get rid of fluoride in your toothpaste. Get a home filtration system if your drinking water has fluoride in it, and then stop using mouthwash. Those are 3 cost savings. I mean, it may cost some money to get a home filtration system, but typically those are cost savings. And then the other big contributor is antacids, the proton pump inhibitors, the Prevacid, the Prilosec, the omeprazole, pantoprazoles of the world. Those drugs completely suppress nitric oxide production, both in the lining of the blood vessels and through the oral microbiome, and is causing about a 40% increase in heart attack, stroke, and Alzheimer's. So these are very deadly drugs that no one should be taking. Nobody in their right mind should ever take a proton pump inhibitor.
And it was so crazy is people like my dad are going to their neurologist afraid that the Alzheimer's is coming on. And they're so afraid to have that dementia. But they're doing the exact wrong thing. And then the other part that is so sad too is that our food supply has been hijacked. 70% of the United States or 70% of the food supply is ultra processed food, which my guess is not just really bad for your nitric oxide production, but it's causing the gut acidity issues so that you're having the acid reflux, so that you're reaching for those antacids. And I mean, as a 49-year-old, all of the husbands that I know in my circle, they're all popping them. And they don't know that they're not eating real food because that is what is available. People don't understand that our food supply is not real food. And then you go to Europe or some other countries and it's less exposure, and it's all of a sudden some of these symptoms are gone because you're eating higher quality food. Hopefully we get there eventually with our government and
slow crawl.
Right. But
yeah, no, I spent 10 or 8 days in Italy. I mean, and the food there and typically I could eat foods in Italy that otherwise the same foods like pizza or, a lot of breads there or pasta would inflame me. My joints would hurt. I'd get bloated. I'd get gaseous.
Yeah.
And eating the food there, amazing. No effects whatsoever. So it's completely different.